Welcome everybody to another episode here at the Round Table. Here, my brother Dustin. What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Another beautiful. It's a Saturday today, so
Yes.
we moved it up. It's Memorial Day weekend, so I know I got plans. I'm sure you guys will do some stuff. So
I know you're going to play at the lake.
yeah, I don't. It should be pretty. It's supposed to be rainy today, but we're gonna go up tonight, so we'll be there.
Hopefully, it's warm enough to get in the water.
Yeah, we'll see. We're gonna play some golf for sure, but
I heard that.
yeah, Gary and I are gonna go play some golf, so we'll see. But yeah, man, we're gonna get into it. So chapter chatter today, and then let's talk through it, man. So section 4.
Yes.
Section 4. So the way the title of this one is, let's see. Let me back up because now I'm on another chapter.
I forgot my book today, but
You're
I remember this one.
So when you're a cleaner, you get in the zone, shut out everything else, and control the uncontrollable. So for this one, and I'll kind of hit us off just because I know that you don't have the book, but feel free to grab this one at any point. So in the zone, that's kind of what we talked about. Essentially, what I got from it was be intensely focused.
Yes.
That's you being in the zone. That's you being ready. That's like you cut out all the noise, essentially. And I also wrote, you know who you are, and it's a super raw kind of like emotion of when you're in it. It's kind of the way Grover kind of explains it.
Yeah, the zone is that's the whole section is all about being in the zone, being very focused, being very intent with what you're doing, not being emotional about it. And the only emotion that is okay in the zone is anger, but not to the point you're going to punch someone. You got to be able to control your anger and focus it and drive it deeper into what you're doing.
Exactly. That I would agree with 100%. So I feel like this whole chapter was essentially about the introduction into the zone, kind of explains what the zone represents. Then he goes into almost like case studies or things that he's been through with other clients of his.
Yeah.
And then essentially what that leads into is exactly that, which I wrote. It's you don't let your emotions drive you. Your emotions make you weak.
Yeah.
So essentially the more that your emotions are able to come out, the more that you're able to control those emotions, it's better. You're more in the zone because once you've allowed them to take over your character, then you no longer are in the zone. You're thinking about too much, and I think he says that too. Where in the zone you're not thinking.
Yeah,
you're just in the zone.
The only thing on your mind is the task at hand. And he talks about how Dwayne was pretty good at it. Kobe was probably, I think he was saying right around the 90%, but the only person that he ever saw and worked with that walked onto the field 100% was Michael Jordan. That was always in the zone. There was no, and for a 50% shooting average, it's pretty, you can tell he knew it. But he talks about how instead of him, how he finds the buttons, and he doesn't want to push your buttons, he wants to pull your buttons. So he wants to show you what you can use to get into the zone.
Right.
What anger, what emotions you can use, whether it's the coach saying stuff, whoever, the trainer, your friends, your family, anybody that says things, for you to be able to, he calls it pulling, so that you know when you can push the buttons.
Yeah, I did catch that as well. It's where he's mentioning that he's not trying to push him, he's trying to pull him out of you. Which, and this is kind of odd, but there's two ways I'm looking at this book. One is, so far, is obviously the method that he's giving you, right? The way that he's coached his clients and has that experience of it. But also, I'm taking it into also a coaching aspect of the way I can coach, the people that I end up leading or the people that I lead, is that, sometimes the way I took that phrase, which was like, I don't push their buttons, I pull them, is almost like you're enabling them to grow more.
Yeah.
Because you are no longer just doing the work for them. You allow them to see the work that needs to happen and they are seeing it and they're like, okay, I got to do this, I do this. Then once they find that, then they're essentially becoming little leaders themselves in that moment. And later they'll be able to show that to somebody else without having to do it for them. It's kind of the way I saw that chapter. And the cool thing about the audiobook too, that I try to read it and I listen to this one always in the morning. But Grover does say, be yourself, trust your instincts. And then, or the woman in the book, when she's narrating it, he's like, it's like, trust your instincts. But he says that the level up, the relentlessness, the unstoppableness is your instincts trust you. I'm like, holy crap. Like, that's crazy. Like, it's the next step. It's like the next level of.
It's insane to me how smart this guy is and how much he's grown, you know. And you can tell even just the way he speaks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I it's insane. I love the way he goes about his program. I mean, is insane. It's no wonder so many athletes go to him.
Right.
Like,
yeah. The mindset is. I mean, I thought I knew, but I don't. I thought I knew what his mindset represented and what kind of, but I had no idea it went this far.
I was gonna say, so the more I've read and reread and read and reread, just I find more every single time I read through it. This was the one that I'm like, this is solely focused on getting in the zone and the aspects of how to get into the zone. That one, and like we talked about last week, these things he's talking about are fully. He does the entire section on that.
Mm-hmm.
Just that alone. Mindset or drive. The zone. Get in the zone. Stay in the zone. Be a killer in the zone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he talks about how during, I think it was in Australia in 2012 for the Olympics, on the All-Star game, Kobe was just having an off game. He was still there, still kicking butt. And somebody said, I think somebody said something to him. No, that was to Michael.
Oh, that was Michael.
That was to Michael. But you know, second half he realized who he was and figured it out. Got back in the zone, and at the end he said, "Just trying to find the Black Mamba."
Yep.
You know, and Michael is just kind of he was still in the zone, but just kind of doing his thing, and somebody talked a little trash,
and I always kind of knew, you know, I grew up with Kobe, right? That's kind of my era. You know, yeah. Michael was right at his career was right at the tail end of when I started getting into sports. And so I obviously, you always knew Michael was like the GOAT. You know, you heard stories, and I got to actually watch Kobe, like the Black Mamba mentality on the, you know, display when he was playing games and stuff like that. And it's actually kind of crazy because there's this and I haven't watched it, but I saw a clip of it where they talk about Kobe, and he, like, I think it's in the Olympics, and he's playing Paul Gasol, and he's, you know, people are like, oh, they're teammates. Like, he's, you know, and then he's like, the very first play, you know, LeBron's talking about it, Wayne's talking about it, Bosh and all them. He's like, Kobe just runs straight into Paul Gasol, like, just runs him over, bang. And it was like, damn, and it's like him showing, like, I'm who you thought I was. Like, I might be your teammate, but right here, like, it's gone. Like, it's just, I'm in the zone. Everything else is blacked out, and then you listen to, you know, Michael's story, and you know, he's losing by, you know, he's having kind of like a chill night. They're losing. I think it was like 19 or no, it was I just remember they said they were losing, and then he ended up scoring 19 points in a quarter, and the guy was like something like, oh, like, you know, he said something to him, trash talking to him, and he's like, okay, like, never wake a sleeping giant, essentially is what he told him. And I'm like,
yeah, never wake a sleeping dog.
Yeah.
And yeah, because that was a game. He's like, he had 10 points. It was not a Michael game, and then he came back, and
it's that relentless, that dog. It's that no quit. It's in the zone. You're just, there's nothing else that matters but you being in that moment and just annihilating everything that's in front of you. And it was a very good chapter. And there was one last part at the very, very end of the chapter. One of the quotes that he says, and he says, while others are getting heated up, I want you to start cool and stay cool, because anything that starts too hot can only get cold. And I was like, damn, that's a
What do you want to do when you want to keep something good? You put it in the refrigerator, keep it cool.
Yep. I'm like that's such a good quote because it's like it's what we kind of talked about this, but like intensity and consistency. Intensity runs out. Consistency is just
All
just
day,
at a
every
pace.
day.
Just bang, bang, bang. So that's kind of what I got out of it. It sounds like we got about the same, right? It's in the zone, control your emotions, and and you're on a consistent pace at all
Yeah.
times.
When you're doing it, stay in the zone. Whatever path you're going to go on, whatever business, whatever, stay in the zone. You know, that's how these guys have built such incredible businesses and stuff. The names that Grover,
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jordan, Kobe, these guys that's how they figure it out.
Andy's tied into him.
Yeah. Andy Frisella, Ed Milet. I mean, even Goggins. I keep staring at the Can't Hurt Me book behind. That's going to be one of the next ones, I'm sure. But, I keep staring at that one. And, even to a point, he's dialed in. Everybody is dialed in. Anybody that's a Navy SEAL, he even says it in here.
Yep.
SEALs are cleaners. Anybody that's in the Navy SEALs, you hear that training, you hear what they go through, and oh my God. There's even a handful. I don't know the rankings of the military, buddy, so don't kill me when I'm. But like the Special Forces, the Green Berets, the SEALs, the top tier, the hidden gem type guys. Those guys are all going to be in the cleaner mentality, cleaner aspect, because they're doing things that are. Their training's not easy, from my understanding. The only thing you ever hear about SEAL training, but their trainings are not easy, from what I understand.
No, I can only imagine.
And you have to be in the zone in order to complete those, from my understanding.
And one last thing on that, he does talk about losing or dropping outside of in the zone and how hard it is to get back. Like the person almost feels lost or looks lost. And I think just in life, because I think you can apply this to, like you said, in life, and whether you're trying to start a business or you're trying to, whatever it might be, whatever you're trying to be relentless at, it'd be easy to kind of drop out of that standard or that zone, which we'll talk about this, in our pod. But it's easy to kind of lose that, and it's hard to get there, and it's harder when you lose it to get back into it. So. Yeah, man, I think it sounds like we got about the same. So it sounds like we those top three things, right? In the zone, control your emotions, and what was the last one that we said? Well, we'll just say those two.
I don't know.
Those two.
It's
Emotions,
really early today.
Emotions and in the zone. Control those two things, and that's kind of what we got out of this chapter. So
Yeah.
awesome, man. Anything else you feel like we should hit on?
The control your emotions. The only thing I want to say, because I've actually been working a lot on this.
Mm-hmm.
The controlling your emotions part is probably, in my opinion, one of the hardest parts. When you feel unstable, per se, the emotions are hard, because like I said, I've been doing a lot of work on this myself, because I can sometimes be a very angry person for no reason. But just trying to dial in your emotions is a big game changer, because at the end of the day, you cannot control what other people are going to do. You can control how you're going to react to their actions. And that is, in my opinion, goes along with being in your zone, focused on what you're doing, concentrated on what you're doing, not allowing somebody else to dictate how you're going to feel that day.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love that.
Other than that, no, guys. Thank you for joining in. Can't wait till next week. Again, if you guys have not picked this book up, you need to, because it is a fantastic book. I'm loving this freaking book right now.
Yeah, it's a book that you can go back to. There is some books that are kind of dry, and you really don't want to reread the chapter, but this one's really good, where you actually, like we were talking about right before we started, or when we started hitting the button, but this is a book where you can read multiple times over and over and over, and you're going to capture something new every single time. You'll pull little nuggets, and it's interesting. A really good book will do that to you.
Yeah.
A really good personal growth book will do that, where you've read through it, and you could have read it twice and be like, hey, I didn't I don't remember hearing this, or it hits you a little bit different, where you can pull or extract that nugget and use it in your personal growth plan. So I love it, man.
All right. Thank you. We'll see y'all next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.